Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. This is my Dawn Redwood forest, and I've been looking at Dawn Redwoods and looking at Dawn Redwoods, and I've come to the realization that they don't want to grow necessarily in a tight conical form. They more want to weep from upswept branches. And I'll hopefully while I'm talking, I can play some video of a very full-grown Dawn Redwood in my neighborhood that I've been watching and studying, and I can't wait for the branches to become bare in winter so I can show you the beautiful structure of what I would say is a full-grown, mature Dawn Redwood tree. It's certainly the biggest one I've ever seen and probably will ever see. So what's wrong with my forest? It's growing beautifully. The canopy, just when it starts to look great, that's the time I normally went in and started messing with it. And I think what has to happen with a Dawn Redwood forest specifically is you've got to resist the urge to cut it back just when it looks the best and kind of let it overgrow. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because look what the cutbacks have actually done. Now, you've got to do it, and I've got to manage it better. But let's take a look at the history of what I've done to these trees and what I'm learning about them as I go along. Let's take this tree, for instance, this one that you're focused in on. This is an ideal branch, and I believe I wanted it to stay an ideal branch. So I've been kind of looking at the buds on this branch, thinking, okay, where should I cut it back? And I had cut it back. I think I cut it back to here twice. Okay, and I think I want to cut it back one below it this time because there's a nice bud at the top of that branch. And you are seeing this, right? Yeah, there's a nice bud at the top of that branch, kind of the top back, and we'll send this in a nice direction. So that's why I'm cutting it here. Looking at the first major chop I did on this tree, I'm thinking the first major chop should have been down lower. Now I did chop this one down lower, thinking this would be the dominant tree, but I think these three in the front, these three trees in the front kind of share the spotlight as the most dominant trees. And I'm not going for forced perspective. I want to be able to view this on all sides. This should be displayed on a pedestal by itself, and you should be able to walk around it. We'll look at it more closely when I've cleared some of the branches away. I thought that the overall height of this forest should be about here. And of course, I've let it, this is me making, I think, dumb mistakes on this forest. Now, let's talk about the apex of these trees. So I'm moving up to the apex for you. I'll zoom in on what I want to show. Now, if you have in your mind that Dawn Redwood that I showed you in the video, you can see that the tops are blunt and there should be a three-way split of the apex, I think, and then you'll have that blunt missile effect once these branches bend down. And I may have to help these branches bend down because I'm trying to do this in miniature, but I don't want to do it this high on the tree. I want to do it down lower and then maintain this. There's no reason why with a cutback every year strategically to buds, I can't get the same effect year after year because I want this to be a forest and I want this to succeed as a forest, but I also want to try and grow these trees the way they want to grow. Now, for those of you who became interested in Dawn Redwoods as a forest after seeing Candace on Bonsai Science, she professed the rules, and I go back to those rules all the time. And I want to reiterate them because, unfortunately, Bonsai Science can't be found on YouTube any longer. So I'm going to take it upon myself to reiterate the rules that she taught me. And by the way, those were very much the same rules that Ryan Neal professed when he did his really epic pruning of a very large old bonsai Dawn Redwood. So the rules are: the stem must have reddened, and it's a little unfair because I've pruned this one before. Let's see if I can find one. On a new branch. All right. I don't know if I'm going to keep this branch, but it's a fairly new branch, and I don't think I've pruned it before. So this is this year's growth. You can prune a Dawn Redwood branch when three things have happened. The stem has reddened, the branch has subdivided or bifurcated, which this one has, and it has buds along the stem. This one, the first set of buds is here. So this is really the first place I can prune this branch. But I want this branch, each one of these little leaf scars has the potential to have a bud, but at this point in the year, you should be able to see those buds very clearly. And on this branch, I can see them all the way back to here. But on this branch, this might end up being gone from this tree because if I prune it here, it's just going to die. It does have buds at the base, so another branch can grow from here. And I may go around that tree and ask it to do just that. Because in my study of what I'm seeing both on Dawn Redwoods in nature and on these Dawn Redwoods, I'm still contemplating getting brutal on these, letting them overwinter and starting fresh. I wish I saw more buds. There's a bud back here, but that's it until we get to this branch division here. This tree may not be the best demonstration tree because of what it has, but I want to start with it because I think it's the most difficult. I have a vertical branch here that could be my new apex, and I have two buds here which could be my little waterfall at the top of the apex. So, to start out this exercise of bringing the forest down, and you've got to examine what the tree has given you based on what you did to it last. All right? In my experience, Dawn Redwoods do grow from cuttings. All right, so the next prune on this tree to dictate the height of this tree, and I do have, well, it tapers from this to this, but this is pretty straight and this is pretty straight. Not that I'm trying for taper, what I'm trying for is to shape a Dawn Redwood forest in a way that makes sense. Now I have no branches, right? I do have 2 leaflets here that are going to fall off, and there are 2 buds there that I want to become the apex of this tree. This tree now is leaning into the forest, which I don't love, but it has this other branch. I want to make sure you see it. This is a beautiful branch, and it should be coming out radially here. I thought with this as the front of the forest, the fact that it was going off to the side would be okay, but it's really not. Now, I do like the positioning of this as the next branch down to give it foliage that will match what's coming up here, and I do have foliage down here that could fill in this area, and buds rather. This has a bud on top, nothing behind it, a very strong bud on this side and a weak one on that side, and that's as far back on this branch. So I can safely cut it here. And I'm regrowing this tree. This is going to fall off. All of these are going to fall off. Yeah, even though this has bifurcated, it hasn't reddened, and it has no buds along that central stem. There are buds at the base, and they will grow next year. I will get growth there, I will get growth here, and I will get growth here. Moving down, I cut that one already, and I was going to talk about a branch lower down. This branch, it's a good length, but it could be just a little shorter. And with my theory on surrendering to the foliage and the canopy, this is going to give me a canopy next year, whether I like it or not. And it's going to be an okay canopy, provided I don't prune it when it looks like it needs pruning. So really the window to show a Dawn Redwood forest is before it overgrows, because you kind of want the initial growth to go because it's so beautiful. I have a bud here and a bud here, so I can prune this branch safely to here. I'm getting some of my upward growth. This one's horizontal, and I'm sorry about that, but you know, there is a bud here, and I'm just going to let it grow, and I may make the decision then and I'm wondering if it's not just the weight of the foliage that's pulling that down. But so I'm going to leave it for now because I do have buds right here. Right here at this intersection. So these are just going to fall off. This is one that has not reddened. It does have buds, but it has not reddened. So I do see a bud, and this is breaking a rule. I'm going to cut it here just to take the weight off that branch. And these are going to fall off anyway, so I'm just going to cut them to get them out of the way of something that might be next to it that I want out of the way. All right, this had a stronger branch below it, but it weakened. So that was a branch I had selected. This is what's left. And I'm going to leave that because it's pretty. And it's not blocking anything. So that has this tree completely pruned up. And as you can see, it's kind of an ugly tree. And it's going to spend winter looking like an ugly tree. And I apologize for anyone who's offended by me calling my tree ugly. Truth be known, I started this video yesterday and began some pruning, but it was so dark, it was late in the day, I couldn't see something that could have been a bud, so I decided to call it off. But when I review it, if I said anything nice and wonderful, I'll include it, but don't expect that. So this one has, I think this is the lowest cluster of buds here, and I kind of like those low clusters of buds because it means I can have some low branches on the outside of this forest and you still be able to see in, low down. My idea for displaying this is to have the base of the pot be kind of at eye level, so you're kind of looking up at the forest but through the trees. So, good luck in a show having that kind of opportunity to display, but that's how this forest would look best to me. So I'm going to focus on the upper part of this tree that's right in front of you now. And this one might end up looking a little better than the one next door. I do want to make it a little shorter, and cutting it right about here would do that. Unfortunately, then I lose, just like this branch was kind of cocked over this way, this one's cocked over even further, but it's the overall aesthetic that I'm going for. So yesterday I made the decision to cut this branch off in favor of some buds that are growing at the base. I wish the light was better because I may have made some of the wrong decisions. There's a lesson in there somewhere. But I will get branches growing here, and I will choose that in spring. This branch back here has not reddened, has no, and that might have been the case with these two. It has not reddened except way at the base, and it has absolutely no buds on it at all, so I'm just taking it off. This branch, I do like that, and this has a bud at the bottom. It's in a good position. I'm going to let that grow and take that off. This is nothing. It's actually going to fall off just like a lot others like it. This needs to come off. Anyone who just takes, haphazard cuts on their Dawn Redwood does so at their own peril, I think. This has a nice bud right here by kind of a large knuckle. I must have cut it there at one point. One back from that, though, there are two buds that are kind of upward swept that go nicely with this idea. I'm going to have to tackle the height, guys, and I'm a little nervous. Unfortunately, I have to take this off now because there are buds down here that I want to grow in this direction, and they will. They're nice, healthy buds. Leave a lot for dieback. This tree is now shorter than that tree. I will continue. All right, the apex of the tree, I want it to be short and then start to weep down. So fortunately, this branch has lots of buds on it. It has buds up here, buds here, facing up, buds here, and there is even a bud below that, but I think I'm cutting that one off here. Oh my goodness, is this going to be easy to water? And this one, which is another branch that does not come off the trunk radially. How best to see that? This comes off, and it looks like I cut off the radial branch. Oh God. And this one's coming out this way. These clusters of it's dangerous. If you don't pick the right one, it'll be off radial. So there's another caution when pruning your Dawn Redwood. Look at the direction of the clusters if you're going to let them grow. So this one, since I made the decision this is my apex, I'm going to come back to the first bud, which kind of goes back into the radial direction that I had before I pruned it. This one, I do not have a bud before here, so I can prune it to here. But even that's a little long. This one doesn't have a bud till here, and that doesn't do me any good at all. So I'm going to try and regrow this branch, and it looks like the tree wants to shed it anyway. I don't know if a branch coming from there will be any good because this one grows out, this one grows down. I'm not sure what to do here. Just going to let it grow. So this tree is pruned up. This is nothing. I'm just going to take it off. I don't like this, but I'm going to leave it. Okay. I like the way this is moving. So, the tree in front of you, let's look at it in its entirety if we can. This tree. Comes up. I have a nice branch sweeping up here. I don't want it any longer. I don't want it any longer than this. The low branches should be your longest. This is one node more than I just pointed out, but I may end up going back. I have buds further down on that. This branch has buds, but it's growing in the wrong direction. I'm going to take it off. There's a branch in the back that has some buds on it. Well, let's move up because this branch has some crazy stuff growing from it. Really super long. This one has a crazy branch growing from it. Really super long. So I've got to grow a new top to this tree because it can be about the same height as this one, but it can be no higher. So I've got buds all up along this stem. So I'm growing a new apex. I'm looking for buds that are as vertical as possible. I don't know if you can see them. There's a nice vertical bud there. That's about the same height as this tree. We'll look at the forest floor too because I'm loving the surface roots. I've got a really cool plan for something, a rock feature back there. Right. So there's a branch from another tree that's in the way here. I'm going to cut it to the first bud I see just to get it out of the way. Lots of directional problems with branches here, but this is a good one. And it's close to the apex. I have two buds on the top part of this branch, so I'm taking this off to there. Okay, moving down the branch, in back, you may not be able to see this clearly. This branch back here, I've got two buds on the side and one on top here. So that's not as close as I wanted to be there, but it kind of matches what I did with this branch. And I am going to surrender to the canopy. Whatever the canopy does, that's going to be the beauty of this forest. And for however that lasts, when it gets to the point where I can't stand it anymore, like this, I'll come in and I'll do a hard prune like this. But probably not in spring other than just a branch selection. You know, this branch, it's not radial like the other ones are, but it has the opportunity to go in this direction here, so I am going to take it to that first bud. I've taken these trees down to sticks before, and they haven't disappointed me. Overall, as a forest, it's a little disappointing. All right, let me make sure I can work on this and you still see it. Unfortunately, I have a bud here, which is way too long. I don't have another bud till here, so I've got to go down this far. This branch, a nice branch, but it does not have a bud until way at the end. Now, this branch is, this branch, the tree looks like it's going to keep. I haven't come across one yet, but you'll see I've made decisions on branches like this before that are Hail Mary kind of decisions, and the tree had other ideas. Here's one. Nice thick branch. I cut it here where there were no visible buds, and the tree just said, "You dummy." This one I can cut to here. I have two side buds that will enhance the look I'm going for. This one, I don't know what to do. It probably had buds further down when I first messed with it. I'm just going to cut it short and hope for the best. Too bad. Cut it here. This branch. I don't have a bud till here. I think that's okay. It's got a little, I'm going to cut it just by where it splits. Since this is the lowest branch on this side of the tree and it kind of frames this area, if these buds grow down into it, that will look nice. I'm going to take these little leaflets off so I can see this branch better. Yeah, it is sweeping upward, and it probably has buds on the lower part of the branch here and here. So those new shoots will be kind of drooping down, which is what I want. So this tree is pruned up. This is nothing. I'm going to take this off. This tree is pruned up.